What's up, YouTube and Facebook? I'm trying to get Instagram started here. For some reason, it doesn't like to always just start. Maybe I paused. There we go. And welcome to Ignite Thursday. And this week, we are talking about the theme of online business. This isn't something I normally talk about, or a pillar I haven't talked about. I haven't talked about wealth, essentially, much at all. I think I've kind of briefly touched on it, but I said I wanted to get more into the pillars a little bit. As I've stated, I've tried to build this whole thing out from essentially the mindset into other different things, right? How do you build yourself? How do you create yourself? Have that Ignite mindset, and then start looking at pillars and how you can get perspective to change your life. And especially with everything that is going on right now, I think it's important to have some kind of essentially side gig, right? And a lot of people are realizing that, hey, I have to have something else just in case, right? You always got to have like a side gig or a plan B, essentially, if you lose your job or something. And I think that's extremely important in today's environment. So that's essentially why I picked today. There was a couple other different topics I was thinking about talking about, but nonetheless, I figured I'd bring up online business and kind of give you guys some insight on that kind of stuff. But before we really get started, if you guys are interested in virtual races, I've ran 3 so far. I'm running an extremely long one right now, but if you want to join me, there is a link in either the bio on YouTube and Facebook, or there is one on, I'm not sure about Facebook, but I know on YouTube there is, and on Instagram it's in my bio. So if you guys are interested in that, you can check that out. Also, the course is out. I finally have my course out, the Ignite Mindset course, which essentially talks about the system about building essentially your mindset out to be able to get to the pillars. That is out as well. Link in bio on Instagram, and then on YouTube, it is also in the description below. And I noticed something before last week. There were comments on Facebook and I wasn't getting them. So if you are commenting, hopefully I can see you on Facebook. I don't know if you are or not, but nonetheless, just be aware that it might be delayed. I'm kind of multi-streaming the software I'm using for Facebook and YouTube. It's supposed to pull everything into this one chat so I can see it aside from Instagram. But being said, so that all that being said, online business, right? Why I feel it's important is because you can, why do I essentially choose that over brick and mortar, right? Brick and mortar, I believe, going into any kind of business, before I even started, there we go, we're back. But being said, I chose online because of the fact that you have essentially a global reach, right? And which is nice to have, and especially when you got something like the pandemic going on. You don't have to shut down the doors and all that kind of stuff. And that's why I like the online business model. But being said, right, I wanted to try to just provide you guys a little bit of perspective on what I've been going through in as far as like business, and kind of like where you can go and approach if you want to start that side gig, because it's not just like what I do isn't something that I really consider a business. It's something I enjoy doing, right? I enjoy helping people, and how can I do that? And so I essentially established, I did do Instagram initially, and then I moved over to YouTube, started trying to build an audience, right? Because I think the easiest thing to do is build an audience first. And then at that point, then you can essentially produce products and stuff to sell, right? Being said, I think you need to find something specific, a niche that you like, right? If you're going to do some kind of side gig, do something you like. Like I like doing this stuff. I spend tons of time doing self-development stuff. And so I like to relay the stuff that I've learned, and experienced, and essentially put into practice and create a business out of that. That's what I enjoy doing. I lose sense of time. And this is stuff I talk about all the time, about like finding flow and stuff. So The reason why a lot of this stuff kind of ties in from the mindset stuff into this stuff, in realizing that maybe you don't want to start a business, but I think it's important to have something of your own. And if you could do that and realize how easy it is, right? Maybe it's not easy because you have to get on camera. I did talk about this a couple of weeks back about fear and stuff, about trying to push your comfort level. And that being said, the big reason too, I want to bring this up because a lot of people might be limited by their location. And coming from a small place, I've lived in a small town, and I know, like, I remember going back to upstate New York where the options for jobs were extremely limited. And if you didn't work essentially at the pharmaceutical company, you weren't making money, right? You weren't making above minimum wage, essentially. It was the best paying job in the area. Being said, it was really hard to get in there. And so if you can start an online business, right, whatever that may be, maybe you start a Shopify store or whatever the case is and sell actual physical products, or you can go into digital projects, which is something I like because it's easier to convey and it's easier to sell stuff that way, right? Sell your knowledge. Essentially, you're refining the process and experiences that you've been to and putting that into a course or a book or whatever that is. And it's essentially like going to school, right? And I know a lot of people don't like courses and all that stuff, but you have to understand that you're refining a lot of the hardships and stuff that you go through and try to provide that information. It's no different from going to a college or university or anything like that. That is all opinion too, right? It's all opinions, experiences. I think you get better. You learn better from other people that have actually lived it, as opposed to some theory or something someone came up with. But ultimately, that's why I like the online business model better. But being said, in that small town, if you can do something to create a business, right, you can go online. There is plenty of stuff out there that you can build off of. And it can be whatever you want. You can do it in gardening. You can do it in, oiling, I don't know, toy soldiers or pottery or whatever the case is. There's always a niche for that thing, and you can create a business out of that thing. And one of the biggest thing is maybe you don't want to go on camera. And this is where podcasting could be huge, right? Podcasting is essentially the new blogging, right? In the future, it is essentially going to take over blogging, in my opinion. And being said, you don't have to show your face. You just get a mic. It doesn't have to be an expensive mic. You get a cheap mic. You got recording. I know I run Windows on my stuff, so there's recording. You record your voice. There's Audacity, which I use to essentially normalize the voice and have an intro and outro and stuff like that. So it's not as complex as it may seem. And I guess it goes back to why I talk about the mindset and all that stuff beforehand, because of the fact that if you're coming into this, and a lot of people you don't know, right? What you don't know makes it even harder. And so that's why I want to provide perspective on this pillar of wealth, essentially cash flow, right? Because that's what this is cash flow, and trying to find something that you can build off of that will help you in your life, especially if you're coming from a place where it is the scarcity as far as trying to find cash flow, right? Whether it's working 9 to 5 and this is really hard, or start something that can help you build up to something bigger, right? And I talked about this in the podcast with Sean on the Improvement Lounge on episode 3, is talking about planting seeds, right? And that's essentially what you're doing. But realizing that you have to delay your gratification, right? A lot of times, I think what happens is we want instantaneous results, and we're just so used to it, especially with the internet and everything like that, that if it's not working right away, we think it's just not ever going to work. When this is where the grinding and everything else and going about it and still showing up, even though there's nobody viewing, and continuing to do these things, and realize that eventually it will get there. As long as you continue to provide value, as long as you continue to do different things, you can build it out. And it depends on the niche, right? Like if I was doing something very niche like gardening and giving gardening tips, that particular YouTube channel or podcast might explode, right? And it's good to understand that if you have those kind of things, that is going to help you in the long run. Have something that's yours and building it out. And this builds your confidence. This goes back to all the other different things that we talk about, essentially the building blocks and the Ignite mindset, right? And realizing that when you're building out your mindset and doing all these other things, you have that infrastructure already with the Ignite mindset to be able to build these things out and building wealth and building all these things. Because instead we'd rather skip to the, well, let me just have a relationship and then it's not working, or skip to, let me just have a lot of money right away, and realizing that there's always a yin to a yang, right? And this is something I'm going to talk about with what's going on, Tony? How you doing? I got an interview with Tony coming up too. Tony Taylor Inspires. So I'm looking forward to that interview. But getting back to, starting a business and stuff, I think it's extremely important. Everybody should do that. And again, it all starts with mindset. And why have it kind of expanded, what I've been doing on my channel. I know I got very niche and started out with different pillars, talking about the pillars, and then realizing when I was doing the underdog experiment on YouTube that I had to start with a mindset, because that's where it all starts. And then realizing the different pillars kind of really help you essentially. It's good to see you too, man. It's good to hear. But in realizing that the mindset will help you get there, and then these pillars will help build everything else that you look for, right? Because essentially, like chasing relationships or chasing money or anything like that isn't going to get you the things you want, right? If you focus on the pillars, those get you to where you want to go, right? Focusing, and this is talking about the mindset and the Ignite mindset, and the whole system that I teach is the fact that, once you have that mindset, it essentially helps you, focus on these pillars and realize that these other things that you essentially want, they will come into your life as long as you're focusing on the right things, right? Focusing on your purpose, focusing on your destination, not the path or the duration to get there, because again, our minds are too worried about that. And then in having something that is yours, right? If you have a business that is yours, right? You're creating something and building your confidence, right? You look to build confidence. You look to build these other things. So have something you can create, right? Start with yourself. Create the mindset to go into and create it. And that's why I wanted to bring up just business, right? I know a lot of people may not want to talk about business. It's not the big thing. I know just finances in general, the wealth pillar is hard because people don't want to talk about finances and cash flow and stuff, right? It's one of those things that I think is a very sensitive issue with a lot of people. But being said, I think it's important to have something that is yours. And if you can create a business that is yours, again, online, I think is the best way to do it, because you have global reach, right? You're not stuck to a physical location. And then build it out from there, right? Again, if you're coming from a small town, I mean, that's the best way to do it, because again, you don't have a lot of options in that small town. And again, it comes to the fact that you don't have to come on camera, right? You can start a podcast. And one thing I do, if you guys follow me on the Improvement Lounge, right? That is essentially taken from a video. The audio for the podcasting is taken from the video, right? And even though it may seem like, well, that's just too much going on, too many moving parts, it's really simple, right? You have to understand that a lot of these things, they seem a lot more complex than they actually are. So being said, if you guys want me to create more content like that, I can do that, right? Again, for the past couple of weeks, I've been really focusing on the mindset, because we have to understand that it's going to start with a mindset, right? If you realize that it can't be changed in the mindset, then it's not going to work. You have to have a lot of build that confidence in yourself to be able to get out there and start building these things and creating these things, and realize that you start gaining more confidence along the way. It's just taking that step and building, again, something that is yours and something that you can create, something you'd be proud of and share with your friends, your family. And maybe it leads to more, right? Maybe it leads to you not having to have a regular job and actually doing something that you enjoy. And that's ultimately what matters, right? So being said, delayed gratification. Um, Delayed gratification is one of those things I talk about, right? It doesn't matter. It's one of the ultimate like building blocks upon everything, right? Whether it's diet, whether it's business, whether it's skill sets, anything like that, you have to realize that if you really want the bigger, better things, right? And again, what I was talking about with the Improvement Lounge, right? Like I talked about this on the Improvement Lounge podcast, is the fact that, you know, a lot of times we want to hurry up and pick the seeds that we had essentially just planted, right? As soon as it sprouts, we're like, okay, well, let's just pull it out, as opposed to letting it grow to a big oak that is something we could be proud of. And, you know, whether that is, again, your diet, your business, whatever the case is in realizing that it starts from the mindset, building out to the business and all these other things, and realizing that you have to build that confidence in yourself and realize that what you're bringing to the table is of value, right? And realize that you have to constantly be working on that craft. I know, Tony. Thank you. Appreciate that. It'd be nice, man. It'd be nice to have you on the interview. I'm looking forward to it. But with the business, right? And again, I know it can be scary. And this is why, again, I go back to the mindset and I teach you about fear and everything, right? Like, if you look at the system that I've built, like, it leads you up to these things, right? It's to help you expand your comfort zones, help to get over your fears, come through all that stuff, create something that is yours, right? And realizing that this thing essentially is your purpose, right? That's essentially guiding you to where you want to be, right? Because I think we all want freedom. We all want different things. We all want to be able to enjoy life. And I think by having something that is yours. Hey, what's up, Antonio? How you doing? Nice to see you too. But in realizing that, dealing with like Antonio is I interviewed him over the past week. If you haven't checked out that interview was awesome as well. And talking about, you know, I've met a lot of great people, like on Instagram and everything, and on YouTube, that I've done interviews with that are creating businesses and trying to dissect essentially where they're coming from and how they have ignited change, and realizing that it started with the mindset, but you know, they pursue their passions, right? And I think that's what's important, is if you can pursue your passion in business and do it online, right? It's just so much easier online to be able to do that. I mean, I'm not saying don't do brick and mortar. If that's something you want to do, go ahead and do it. But I just think your reach, again, is you got a global reach if you can do it online. And just know that, you know, you can go on social media. You can start on Instagram. Like I started on Instagram and I was just documenting my story. I mean, you can just do that. There are many different avenues in which you can go. All right. We're talking about the destination, path, and duration, right? And when I talk about the path, there's no set path, right? You can do whatever, just as long as you're aiming for that destination, right? If you're finding your purpose and your purpose is, well, I want to, again, garden or something like that. Well, I have all these other different platforms I can do it on. If I don't want to be on camera, I can just grab a mic, talking to the mic about what I know, right? And put it out there and be okay with a delayed gratification, right? To realize it's not going to be an overnight thing, but as long as you're consistent with it and providing value and trying to build yourself out, continuously learning and stuff like that, this will help create that thing that you wanted, right? Co-create that, and not just a little plant and then wonder, well, you know, this isn't getting anywhere. I'm wasting my time. And again, that goes back to anything. These are everything I teach are the building blocks from the mindset to get you to where you want to go. And doing that, again, you have to want to change, right? That's the biggest thing, is you have to want to change, because if you don't want to change, again, I can come on here all day and talk about all the great things that you could be doing right this second, but if you don't want to change, you're not going to change. And you can just, you know, are you enjoying life if you find that you're the person that would rather, I did talk about this on Instagram a little bit. I did post a video on this. It was essentially about the inauguration, right? And just realizing that, people will come in and out of your life. They bring positive, they bring negative, but you have to ultimately understand that if you really want big changes in your life, you have to create that change. And however that is, maybe you are okay in life, then that's fine. I'm sure everybody always has something in their life they want to change, whether that's your diet, whether that's starting a business, whether that's getting better at communication skills, right? These are all the things that I teach in the pillars, but because I believe that they can get you more, right? I think we're too worried about, what again are the 5 or 10 best things I can do to get the next relationship, right? Or to get that job or get that promotion, right? And you realize if you focus on the pillars, focus on the mindset, build yourself out, right? It starts internally, build it out. Then essentially you can change the world in which you see fit, right? The way you want your world, the way you want your life to be, right? As opposed to the way life will just throw at you whatever is left, essentially, right? And we're all kind of seeing that over the past year, and understanding that you have ultimate control of this stuff, right? Take control, get in the driver's seat and drive to where you want to go, drive to your destination, right? Don't life is going to give you whatever it wants. And I talk about this a lot. Like life could have left me in a factory cutting cardboard for minimum wage. And I could have just been okay with that and accepted that. I am not that kind of person. I don't want to accept that. And I looked for other avenues, even though it seemed hard. I didn't have a lot of leverage to get to other places, right? Like I dropped out of college and I did all these things. But ultimately, I went in the military because I didn't have leverage. I tried to find a place where I could find leverage to, what's up, Angela? How you doing? And to find leverage, essentially, to be able to get places that I wanted to get. And doing that, I had to go in the military, right? And that essentially allowed me to open up new opportunities in my life. And again, doing that, I kept trying to find something new, something different, and expanding that, right? And building out my life the way I saw fit. If it didn't suit me, then I would change it, right? I would change my situation and realize that nobody else was gonna give or provide enough change in my life to be able to allow me to change what I really wanted, right? It was up to me to make that change. But that being said, business in itself is one of those avenues, right? And if that's, again, something you guys are interested in, I could do more on that particular pillar. I'm trying to reach out on the different pillars and talk about them a little bit more. Again, there's a lot of different stuff that falls under the pillars. In general, I mean, like I do a lot of the stuff like on the stock market and stuff, but I haven't even talked or introduced any of that kind of stuff on this channel. I do have a separate channel that I do all that stuff on. I don't do that on this channel. But being said, I mean, if that's stuff you guys are interested in, it is related to essentially the system that I talk about, the Ignite mindset, building out the mindset, overcoming fears, expanding comfort zones, being curious about life, about different things in life, and then going after them, starting businesses, whatever the case is, or just improving your health, whatever the case is, trying to optimize your life ultimately, right? So with that being said, I think I pretty much covered everything that I wanted to talk about as far as business today. Again, I just wanted to kind of throw it out there, kind of feel it out, see what you guys are thinking about the different pillars. And if you want me to dive deeper on specific pillars, I know I talked about health last week. I talked about business this week under the wealth pillar, and then I was going to talk about possibly soft skills and stuff next week. Again, all kinds of relates because I've been hammering down on the mindset and overcoming a bunch of different things. So I figured I'd switch it up a little bit and start getting a little bit deeper into the different pillars in themselves and understanding what I mean by the pillars and the different, again, categories that fall underneath those pillars. But again, being said, I think that is pretty much what I got. Again, if you guys are interested at all in virtual races. All those links are either on Instagram bio and on YouTube in the description below. You can find that there. Also, again, the Ignite Mindset course is out now. Again, all in the same places that I just referenced. But as far as like the course goes, I just want to be 100% transparent. It is a lot of stuff that I do teach, but it is structured, right? I want to be 100% transparent. So when you go in there, it's not like, oh, well, you teach all the same stuff. Yes, I do teach it. A lot of stuff I do teach is free. That is just a more structured, regimented course that will help guide you. It's again like a drip thing. So every week you'll get lessons, new lectures, and new like activities to do that help build that mindset up to be able to ignite change in your life, and realize that it will take action after that point. So being said, if you guys have any questions, I got 2 viewers on Instagram, and there is nobody on. If you are on Facebook, I am not seeing anything. I know there were comments last time, but I didn't see anything. So if no comments, I hope you guys are doing great. I hope you guys are having a great day. I hope you guys continue to ignite change in your life. Hope you guys continue to believe in yourself and know that you do have value. You guys create some great things. So being said, all right, guys, take care, and I will see you guys next time.